You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, you're listening to my mom, Georgia Edson, on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, welcome. It is the 29th of July, 2013.
It's almost over.
No, it's not. No, it is not. Do not say that.
Sorry.
Feels like it, though.
It does. I don't like that.
It's just, summer flies by.
It always does, of course, because it's fun.
Flies. But winter's fun, too. I don't know why winter doesn't seem to go.
I can't wait for winter.
I know.
I love winter. That's why I moved here.
I know. I'm excited for winter, but I like all the seasons, but it does feel like summer. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I like no school.
Yeah.
I like no school. I like my kid not having to go to bed at a certain hour. I like not harping on him to do his homework.
Mm-hmm.
I like no school.
Yeah, it's so much more relaxed.
Oh,
it's vacation.
It's a vacation. And that's why I am not a huge fan of year-round school.
You're not?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. And I've read all this, trust me. I mean, I've read all the studies and I know, kids forget so much more and we're already, as a society, Americans are already behind most other nations, most other industrialized nations in terms of our educational system. And it would certainly help if we weren't spending the first, 6 weeks of the school year relearning the last 6 weeks of the previous school year. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Do you have great summer vacation memories from being a kid?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Yeah. Kris, do you have great summer vacation memories? Things that you did when you weren't in school in summer when you were young?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a rite of passage. I think we spend enough of our lives having a Monday through Friday traditional schedule with 2 weeks of paid vacation if you're lucky, and let kids be kids. And part of that growing up and learning and becoming wise citizens is having those experiences. Mm-hmm. As you guys know, my son has been in New England for the past month, and he comes home tomorrow. And I'm really, really excited because I missed him tremendously. I did much better this summer than I did last summer. Last summer, I spent a lot of time crying, to be honest. I missed him and I was lonely. I knew he was having a great time and he was fine and he wasn't homesick or anything. But it's such a huge part of who I am is being next to that little person that it was really hard for me. This summer was easier, but I am still counting. He comes home in 24 hours and 31 minutes, like literally is when his plane should land. And I'm really excited. And I bring this all up, A, because I want to, and it's my show and I get to, but B, because the 5th Monday of the month, we have a couple of those throughout the year, I've always dedicated to parents and parenting issues and those kinds of things. And so tonight, normally we have parents in and they come and talk, but there's been so many mommy kinds of things in the news lately that we have kind of a lot of stuff to go by. And when I was in New York, whenever that was, a week and a half ago, doing the Katie Couric show, that was all a part of marijuana moms and moms who feel like they are parenting better by using cannabis, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes, but it's beyond. I mean, the issue of cannabis and parenting is more than whether or not you use cannabis and parent. I mean, that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is how do you teach your kids about drugs and what's the difference between the drugs and gone are the days where kids learn in school the DARE program and everything is bad and heroin and nicotine and cannabis and methamphetamines and aspirin are all bad or whatever. I mean, whatever DARE has to say, and don't forget to turn your parents in if they're committing crimes.
I was never told that one.
Yeah, I never went to DARE. They didn't have DARE.
I went.
Yeah,
They
I
didn't
went
dare
to
have
dare.
dare when I was in
Dare
whatever
not have it.
grade you get. But those days are quickly evaporating, thankfully, with 18 states having legalized medical marijuana. I mean, that's a huge percentage of the population that live in a medical marijuana state. And for those of you who don't, you're on your way. You're
Yeah.
on your way, and so there's a different parenting style that's going to be adopted in order to be with the times.
Yeah.
And so do you want me to read this right now?
Oh no, it's just do you know about that?
No, I don't even know what it is. I just saw that it was long and that I couldn't do two things at once.
The sales tax. Yeah, I don't think that's the Denver City Council is not going to be doing it for medical marijuana. The 3.5% to 15%.
Yay. I mean, the tax was always intended to be on recreational marijuana.
Good.
But it was going to be enormous. And I know the City Council subcommittee met today to go through and discuss what their taxing situation looked like for recreational marijuana. And one of their concerns, thankfully, was that they didn't want to tax people to the black market.
Absolutely.
So
Do I don't remember, but do you get taxed when you go get the regular medicine?
nope, you do not.
I don't think
you
we
do
should
not.
get taxed to get this medicine either.
Right. Agreed. So parenting. So there's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much. So parents have the issue of their own use. They have issues of teaching their kids about cannabis and how it differs from other drugs.
Yeah.
And then there's also the issue of medical marijuana for kids and how you get to the place where you have determined that is a good treatment methodology and one that you're going to choose to use for your child and sort of everything in between. It's a lot for parents to have to juggle. It's a lot for parents to have to juggle. And we've talked about kind of what you say to your kids. We had before the election last year, we had a bunch of parents in on a fifth Monday, and everyone sort of gave their tips and unanimously, kind of behind the scenes, we all talked about how, just like anything else, talking to your kids needs to be really age appropriate. Mm-hmm. I do not remember my parents talking to me about drugs or alcohol at all.
No, they never did with me.
I never got the talk. I never. I always got the impression that you don't do things that are illegal. That was kind of the overarching theme. Don't underage drink. Don't do drugs. Don't steal. I mean, all of those things. Yeah, all of those things that are illegal, you shouldn't do. And so, because I'm a rule follower, that's really all that I need. I don't need a whole lot of. I'm pretty black and white when it comes to that. I don't need you to fill in a whole lot of detail. I can.
It's pretty.
If it
feels wrong.
If it feels wrong, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me that was fine, but that's not fine in how I want to parent. That's not fine. Mm-hmm. I want my son to think things through. I want him to think about. I certainly don't want him to break the law. I'm never going to encourage him to break the law, but I want him to think about the choices that he makes and not make choices because my mom said not to do this, but here's the reason why you shouldn't do this. I never got context for rules growing up. I got don't do this, but do this. Mm-hmm. And context to me is integral in helping people make good decisions, and be able to think other things through. And so I think I would have probably been able to think things through better had I been raised in a way that was more context oriented. Happens to, like I said, fit with my personality because I'm pretty black and white, but you know what? It's not what I'm doing with Gavin. Mm-hmm. And so those age appropriate tips that we give that for parenting, I think I might have told you guys that Gavin asked where babies come from. And really, he didn't want a whole lot of detail. He didn't need first a sperm and an egg and all that. All he needed was really from mom. Like babies come from their moms, and that's about the long and the short of it. But Warren started to go into this. He's like, takes a deep breath and starts to go into this like long explanation. And I try very hard not to interject, but I jumped right in there and was like, let's give him the information, and if he wants more information, let's give him the information that's age appropriate. If he wants more information, he can ask a question. If we open that door and let him know that there's that he can ask questions, and we'll give more information, fabulous. But certainly we don't want him to walk away going, oh my gosh, my head is so full of this information, and all I wanted to know is really, do you buy babies at the store or
what? What do I do with that?
Yeah, I'll tell you off air. You guys a little bit about more how that conversation went, but that's this to me. That's true for drugs as well, and it's true for cannabis, and cannabis is a much easier, in my estimation, conversation to have.
Oh yeah.
Than to have conversations about a lot of other drugs. I mean, I don't understand other drug use. I don't judge it.
No. Mm-hmm.
It's not up to me to judge it, but I mean it's. I don't get it as much, but the bottom line for me is, there's a legality issue, there's a health issue,
Yes.
and there's a personal freedoms issue.
Yeah.
And so when you know all of those kinds of things, and you know the truth about what's going to happen to you, because of course,
absolutely.
That's the biggest deal, isn't it? That what happened when kids thought that all drugs were the same? They tried marijuana and they realized
They were lied to.
Right.
And then they must have been lied to about cocaine and meth and heroin and everything else. And they go and do those things, find out those things really are a little bit worse than marijuana.
Or they like it more.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. It's a different drug. We don't have an endo-cocaine system. We have an endocannabinoid system. So, it's a cannabis. It's. That's
right. And I never want to say to my kid, oh my gosh, don't ever do this. It's awful and horrible. Because quite frankly, the first time that he tries one day, and I know it's going to happen as much as it kind of upsets me, but the first time he tries something and he has a good time, he's going to say, well, gosh, she gave me bad information. And so what I want to say is here's the truth about cocaine and the potentials and those kinds of things. Here's the truth about heroin and the potentials and hopefully, I really naively hope that will mean that my son won't go down that path. But I know I'm being naive. But he's 8, and I think I have quite a few years before I have a lot to worry about. And maybe
about 5 years.
Oh, I only have 5 years.
When he's 13. Well, my brother's 13.
Yeah.
He's a teenager.
The first time you smoked?
6th grade.
Was 6th grade?
Oh, I was 16. I was like a sophomore.
See, I think I just.
A lot of things go down in 6th grade.
A lot.
Depending on where you live, I guess.
My kid's a young kid. Like he
looks
right?
so innocent. Gavin
Thank
looks
you.
He looks like a good kid, soccer player.
Gavin is an awesome kid.
Thank you. Cool. But the reality is, you're right. Lots of things do happen in 6th grade. For me personally, I didn't do a lot of experimentation until I went to college. That was just me. I got out of my mom's house. Rules were my own, and so then I made some decisions. But as I said before, I didn't have the context. And so I think as parents, we need to give our kids the context. And one of the things before we go to our first break that I wanted to go through is there's some OregonLive.com gave tips for parents on talking about marijuana with kids. Okay. And they released this. They released this on July 11th and updated it on the 18th. And part of the reason why they put together this parenting tip list, and it's really pretty basic, is that marijuana is a daily conversation now. As we've been talking about, marijuana has gone so mainstream that parents really are pulling that particular substance out and having separate conversations outside of the overall drug conversation. So the tips say that, with marijuana's increasing mainstream presence raises some potentially tricky issues for parents. A record 50% of Americans support legalizing marijuana, and nearly half of adult Americans have used the drug, according to national polls. And we're going to talk about some polls that give some even more staggering statistics. So what does that all mean for parents? It means that they need advice when it comes to starting conversations about marijuana with their kids. So the first tip that they give is let your child take the lead. Harris said parents typically should avoid bringing up the subject. Answer your child's questions, but don't say more than you need to. Harris said marijuana is a complex issue that parents may not know much about. I radically disagree with that tip. Absolutely, I do. Why on earth would you just be quiet?
Yeah, I think. I mean, my mom would be like, "So, what do you know about marijuana?" I mean, she'd go to like, "You, what do you know?" I think
that's a great way to bring it up. What do you know? What do you know? What have you heard?
Have an adult conversation.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Don't feed me a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. No, at all, about nothing. And I think it's fair to say, if I'm nervous about you doing this, that, or the other thing.
Yes.
And I've heard, or there's been experiences where people have had really bad things happen to them when they've used this or that or the other thing. But if you try heroin, you will be addicted and you will die a heroin addict. Don't ever say that. Mm-hmm. Don't ever say that. Yeah. After the break, we're going to come back with a few more tips, and then we're going to talk about other parenting issues. I'm Georgia, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we'll be right back.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding, Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Hi, welcome back. You're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we're talking, Sam and I and Kris are talking a little bit about parenting tips and what we learned. Oh my gosh. That was an audible, like you can't even edit out the fart that this dog just let go. He is a little, and I didn't even feed him.
Liar.
I didn't give him any of my dinner.
We were at a birthday party this weekend, so he might have got something from there. Sam was with us.
He's very cute. Too bad you guys can't see him on the camera. He's very cute.
He's a fat boy.
So we've been talking. It's Parent Night on iCannabis Radio, and we've been talking a little bit about the tips that OregonLive.com put out for talking to your kids about marijuana. And the first one was let your child take the lead. Avoid bringing up the subject. And I just think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, don't avoid.
Don't avoid it. Don't avoid it. And Sam, you were saying that your mom would say, "What do you know about marijuana?"
Yeah, she would joke, she'd smile, and she'd say, "But what do you know?" Because it's open conversation. I mean, that's what she's open about everything. That's how our family is. We're all open.
See, and I think that's so great because then you get to, if you say, "What do you know about this?" they tell you, and you can dispel myths. You can say that's true or that's not true. You can talk about concerns, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. And if you don't know, you say, "I don't know."
Yeah.
That's a big one because a lot of people say, "Well, I heard this, but do you know or do you not know?"
Right.
Because I don't know.
One of the things that I think is probably frustrating for my son is he'll ask a question, and I think that I think it's fine that kids know that we don't know all the answers to everything. And so he'll say, how did this happen? Or where did this come from? Or who was the first president to do whatever?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know. Let's Google it.
That's what my mom does all the time.
Yeah.
I actually asked her, how do jellyfish have sex? And she's like, Anna, go find out. She's Anna, my little sister. Like, find out how jellyfish have sex. And I was like, because they don't have vaginas, I don't think. And she didn't know. And
Did jellyfish have vaginas?
I don't know. I didn't.
Anna didn't tell us.
She didn't tell us. She was like, that's kind of gross. I don't want to find that out.
Oh, yeah. Kris, if you could Google jellyfish sex, we'll enlighten everybody. I know you're busy right now, but you can do it later.
In this family.
No secrets.
Jelly,
no secrets.
Jellyfish sex.
I mean, how do
Jellyfish
jellyfish?
sex.
How am I going to explain that to the girl?
Well, my guess is, this is just a guess, that they don't actually have sex, that the male jellyfish will she'll lay the eggs and then he'll come and fertilize them separately is what I'm guessing.
Like fish do?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay.
That's my guess. All right, do we want to do more tips?
Yes, please.
So the next tip is keep the conversation focused on your child. If your daughter asks about cannabis, use it as a chance to explore her thoughts and concerns. Shifting the conversation to the child helps parents understand what's really on the child's mind. It gives the parents a sense of what the child's real agenda is here. If they say, Mom and Dad, do you think that giving marijuana to kids is a good thing? You say, I'm not really sure. Why do you ask? Why do you think? And I agree with that. I mean, I think that, again, it's what we were talking about. You want to know what your kid's standpoint is, but you don't want to assume that you know why they're asking the question.
Right.
Again, like the sex question, you don't want to assume that your little one wants to know about the birds and the bees as much as it's very, very literal. And in this case, I mean, the example that they give, do you think giving marijuana to kids is a good thing? You might assume that they're talking about medical marijuana patients, and really they could be talking about their gym teacher gave kids marijuana, and so again, you don't want to have a preconceived notion. So I agree with keep the conversation focused on your child. Next, convey your values to your kids.
Okay.
If you oppose marijuana use, tell them. If you feel strongly about that not being okay, regardless of whether you participated in it or not as a young person, expressing those values and making them clear to your children is very, very important. And I agree with that on both sides. If you think that something is okay, not only should you tell your kid that, but you should tell your kid why. Mm-hmm. Context.
Yeah, kids always ask why anyway.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, beat him to the punch. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But the other thing is, I mean, I would be really careful about, I think it's fine to share your values. I think it's not okay to demand that your kids follow those values, have those same values. I mean, I think there are some things that are sacrosanct. You don't harm someone else. You're not mean to someone else. You don't steal from someone else. Mm-hmm. But there are things that are absolutely up in the air. And as long as your kid is making really good choices and isn't harming someone else, then they can have a different value base than you do.
Absolutely.
I want to set my kid up with the values that I have and show him and live those. And then ultimately, if he decides that he has a different values structure than I do, I'll respect that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless he turns into a freak. I'll struggle. If the issue of your own marijuana use comes in, steer the conversation back to your child.
Of your own?
Yeah.
Steer it back? Should you? Do you agree?
I mean, not necessarily.
No, I don't think you should either. If you use it, if you live in Colorado and you smoke a joint instead of a whiskey, I guess. I mean, you should be. I don't know.
For me, it's. You shouldn't be ashamed. You should make decisions that are that you stand behind. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that avoiding that topic, the whole idea of I don't want you to smoke marijuana because you're a child, to a 16-year-old, and they say, but you smoked it. It's a dumb argument. Yeah. And I think it's fine to say, I'm telling you what I want you to do. based on my personal experiences. And my personal experiences tell me that I would like for you to wait until you're of age. And,
Absolutely,
and
I
that's
agree.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. And here's what's going to happen to you if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what my mom said. I know you can go over to your friend's house and smoke, but if I, test you, or if she goes that far, yeah, I'll get in trouble. It's her rules. I live in her house.
Right. Well, and again, there's the legality issue.
And the legality,
there's the
especially
legality
in
issue.
Pennsylvania. There's it's illegal. In
That's right.
Pennsylvania.
That's right. So they say parents' past use of marijuana is irrelevant. I disagree. It's not irrelevant.
Oh.
That's part of the problem. When people are like, "Oh, I smoked when I was, in college, when I first got to college or whatever," and then hide it and are embarrassed by it. That's part of what the problem is about the concept of marijuana. So many people have smoked marijuana.
Yeah.
Just say you did.
Yeah.
Just say you did. If you didn't like it, fabulous. If you liked it, fabulous. Just be honest.
Yeah, it's not honest, and it's cannabis. I mean, it's if you feel bad. My mom used to say that, but it's illegal. How do you not feel bad? I said, because I'm not doing anything bad. I'm just doing. Yes, it's illegal, but it shouldn't be. Slavery was once legal, and that should not be.
Well, and that act isn't bad.
Yeah,
breaking the law is not so good.
Right, I agree.
I mean, that's
But that's why
the
when
problem.
I moved here, I was like, I have to get my red card. And people ask me, "Oh, I'll give you it." No, that's not legal. I'm in a state where the law isn't in my favor. I'm gonna
Take advantage of
take
that.
advantage
That's right.
of
When
it.
you need it, you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So they go on to say, if a father or a mother acknowledges using it, meaning marijuana, they convey approval. If they admit they never tried it, their child may dismiss them. The key is making sure your child knows you understand their point of view. So again, I mean, I just don't understand how they can just because somebody says I used marijuana does not mean that they think it's okay for their kid to use it. I mean,
Right.
that logic is so outdated. It is so outdated. In all honesty, I mean, parents out there, there is a factor of do as I say, not as I do. There is a factor of that, and it sounds controversial maybe, but the reality is they're kids.
Yeah.
They're kids.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
They're kids. And then he adds that the conversation is about how you make choices that are in your best interest during childhood when there is lots of risk. That is the conversation, not did you smoke pot or not. I think it's both. And then the last tip that they give is beware of mixed messages. Parents should view marijuana through the same lenses: smoking, alcohol, eating right, and exercise. Parents who warn their kids to avoid marijuana but consume it themselves risk being seen as hypocrites. It's really kind of impossible to live your lives without your kids being keenly aware of how you're living it, he says. You can think all you want that they're not aware of it, and they may not know the specifics, but they listen to conversations. They're sponges. Okay, again, they're kids. You're not being a hypocrite. You're not being a hypocrite. They're children. It's not legal for them to use marijuana unless they get a recommendation from a doctor and they're in a medical state. That's the way it is.
They
Have that
say
conversation.
Yeah, they're gonna say that's hypocritical, but I mean, it's your child. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's still illegal for a child without a recommendation.
we're not saying it's hypocritical
It's
talking about alcohol or cigarettes, which
Right.
are also illegal for kids to use.
Absolutely.
So about those tips, it all boils down to be honest with your kids. For goodness sake, be honest with your kids. We're going to take another quick break. I know it's a little early, Kris, but we have a couple things to do that I want to not take a break through. And we're going to come back and we're going to watch a really fantastic video of a Colorado Springs family who they're heroes. That's all I have to say. They're heroes. We'll be right back.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
High up in the Rocky Rockies is beautiful Frisco, Colorado. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is a medical marijuana center with compassion for Colorado's medical patients. Looking for great meds grown organically in soil? You've come to the right place. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is just off I-70 at exit 203. Check them out at the web at www.mmrockies.com. Their ever-changing strain and clone selection is updated on the website daily. When making a trip to the mountains, no matter the season, stop by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure you say you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. You can call 970-668-MEDS to get more information. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds.
The National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
Hi, welcome back. So we have got some differing opinions on have had differing opinions on marijuana over time. But what's crystal clear is that either, well, it's not crystal clear because I'm going to say either or. People's opinions are either changing or they're more willing to voice their actual opinions when it comes to marijuana legalization, and not just for medical purposes. So there's been a whole bunch of articles that have come out based on a research study that was done. Parents who support legalization of marijuana want age restrictions. For parents who are just as likely to be puffing the magic dragon. What the hell is that? Puffing the magic dragon? Who writes these articles?
Oh my God.
Who are as likely to be puffing the magic dragon as their teens. Even they want some regulation on how young is too young to start toking. An online survey that was done for Partnership at drugfree.org, which used to be Partnership for Drug Free America, a New York City-based nonprofit organization formerly known as the Partnership for Drug Free America, shows that while an overwhelming majority of parents are in favor of legalizing marijuana, they want to put restrictions on how old you must be to use it. In fact, about 42% of adults surveyed favored legalizing marijuana for recreational use. 52% said it should be decriminalized, and 70% supported legalizing marijuana for medical purposes. Nice. About half of both mothers and fathers also said that they had used marijuana, according to the survey. However, all parents seem to be certain about one thing. They don't want marijuana being targeted to kids and teens.
Right.
The survey shows that about 90% of moms and 94% of dads said the legal age for marijuana should be 21.
Okay.
The data brings to life the fact that parents have serious apprehensions that legal marijuana will be regulated and restricted to protect kids and teens, says Steve Perps, the president and CEO of Partnership at drugfree.org, via USA Today. These expectations far exceed how legal marijuana is being implemented. So the fact remains, whether marijuana is legal or not, much more needs to be done to protect the health of our children. Sorry, it's being in a legal state now where we know that people we know, people we see every day are spending hours upon hours upon hours trudging through developing regulations that make marijuana sales not able to include children, that they're not going to be appealing to kids. I mean, that statement is just pretty freaking funny, if you ask me.
I always thought what is that? What was that? Drug Free America.
It's now called Partnership at drugfree.org, and it used to be the Partnership for Drug Free America.
Drug Free America. That's like the Coalition for a Wine-Free France. Good luck.
Right. Well, and what's interesting about that is I mean, I don't know enough about the organization to know how drug-free that they are, but
Scientology supports them. They're they give a lot of money.
Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. But you go to an AA meeting and people are drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes, and I personally think that caffeine and nicotine are pretty intense drugs.
Are they not?
Yep.
Just my opinion.
They are.
So the Fort Morgan Times also talked about this particular survey that was done by Partnership. And they go on to give some more details that I wanted to talk a little bit about. Nearly half of parents of children ages 10 through 19 say they support legalizing recreational use of marijuana, and nearly 3/4 support medical. It's just not seen as dangerous, said Scott Kachiko, a pollster for the New York-based Whitman's Insight Strategies, when they released these results. This does not mean that adults in this country or in Colorado think it's okay to use marijuana in a completely unregulated manner. Overall, the survey found that half of parents across the country and 62% of parents in Colorado had used marijuana at least once in their lives. That experience colored parents' attitudes about marijuana, with parents who had smoked pot more likely in favor of legalization. But parents who've had serious worries about marijuana use by kids, with more than 80% saying that they think it's a credible concern that pot use could negatively impact future opportunities, hinder brain development, and hurt school performance. Parents also want strict controls on marijuana use and sales. Over 90% of parents surveyed said that marijuana smoking should be prohibited in the same places where tobacco smoking is prohibited. That marijuana should come with warning labels like cigarettes, that it should be illegal to provide marijuana to underage users, and that the minimum age for use should be 21. Now, our good friend, Attorney General John Suthers, speaking at the panel discussion, said that the survey results show the cognitive dissidence in Colorado over marijuana legalization. I'm not sure how that's cognitive dissidence, just because you want it regulated. It's like alcohol. Alcohol is highly regulated also, and you know what? There's a legal drinking age, and that legal drinking age is 21. There have been you can't drink everywhere. You have to have a liquor license, all those kinds of things. I don't know how that's cognitive dissonance. John Suthers, I think you have cognitive dissonance. Yes. You are not willing to look at anything positively. Yeah. It's just frustrating. So with all of the issues that we have going on, one thing remains really, really true. The face of marijuana is changing radically in our society, and we're going to show a little bit a video of a Colorado family, because there have been a lot of conversations about kids using marijuana recreationally and age 21 and those kinds of things, and those concerns are that parents have about their kids using marijuana early are the same concerns that parents have when they're faced with a child who has a serious illness and they've tried everything and they find a doctor who recommends the use of medical marijuana. And despite potential side effects, despite some unknowns, not only do they try it, but it works. So watch this video.
Medical treatment for children that parents say they know is controversial, yet many of them say it happens to work for their children. Some parents have come to embrace the use of medical marijuana to treat a number of conditions, and now some doctors are expressing real concerns. We get the story tonight from our chief medical editor, Dr. Nancy Snyderman.
Peroni's.
When Zakai Jackson was 6 months old, he was diagnosed with a form of epilepsy that causes life-threatening seizures.
He was having 60 to 250 seizures a day.
After 10 years and 17 medications, his mom, Heather, made a tough and controversial decision to give her son marijuana.
Despite the stigma associated with cannabis, we really owed it to Zakai to give it a try.
The first night she gave Zakai a liquid form of medical marijuana, she says the change was immediate and lasting.
The seizure activity was down. He started pumping his legs on the swing, which is something he was 9 years old, and you teach your children that from the time they're 3, and he just never could get it.
It's really good medicine. Their lives are completely changed.
In 17 states, including Colorado, where Zakai lives, kids are able to get medical marijuana by prescription to treat everything from autism to cancer to seizures. Because growers can now breed the plants with low levels of the substance THC, experts say these kids are getting just the medicinal benefits and not the high. Still, some critics say marijuana used therapeutically could also be a gateway to other drugs. The American Academy of Pediatrics is opposed to marijuana because it has not been clinically tested nor approved by the FDA.
Using marijuana as a medication is jumping the gun because we really don't know what the side effects and long-term consequences of marijuana are on particularly children.
We spoke to a mom whose child suffered from seizure disorders, and she's tried everything, and marijuana works.
I worry that we just don't know enough about it. A couple of generations ago, people were recommending tobacco. Even physicians were recommending tobacco as a good method of relaxation or to relieve stress. It seems unbelievable now.
But Heather says she has all the proof she needs.
Medical marijuana is definitely saving Zakai's life. It's saving his life, and it's giving him a better quality of life.
Regardless of where you stand, no one is arguing that marijuana or cannabis should be a first-line drug of choice. But when all efforts have been exhausted and parents are really frustrated and have nowhere else to turn, increasingly the medical community and parents are looking to this as a last-ditch effort, and it comes down to quality of life, Brian.
Boy, you can tell this debate is just getting
With
started.
17 states saying, okay, you bet it's on the roll.
Dr. Nancy Snyderman, thanks as always.
I never heard about the tobacco thing, but I mean, that's two different plants. So that argument was like, we're not talking about tobacco.
Well, and the additives in tobacco and those kinds of things. I mean, I think Heather, thank you for doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. I've talked to Heather on the phone a couple times, and she's so intelligent and so thoughtful and such a fantastic, loving mom. And my favorite part about that entire clip, at the very beginning, when she said, and I'm going to cry just thinking about it, we owed it to Zakai. You know, it's a tough decision for any parent to put their kid on anything.
Yes.
On anything. It seems super amazing that we don't struggle more with putting our kids on pharmaceuticals. That shocks me. I don't like to give my son ibuprofen and acetaminophen and those kinds of things because I don't know what the long-term effects are of those things on that little liver. And
I don't know.
And what I do know is that people have been smoking cannabis for thousands of years.
Yeah, I love it when people are like, oh, you know, look at Tommy Chong. Look how great he's doing. He's been smoking for a long time.
Right? Yes. And so when you're weighing the consequences, when you've got a child like Zakai, Brave Michaela, who we had on a few months ago. I mean, awesome. I could name Chaz Moore, who's no longer a kid anymore, although we'll always think of him as a kid. I mean, these kids' lives, they have lives.
Unfortunately, there's a girl with Dravet syndrome in New Jersey, and she does not get what she needs.
Yeah,
because it's a lot harder to get that there.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad, but we know that the side effects from pharmaceuticals, if those pharmaceuticals are even working, can be devastating to your body, if not ultimately fatal. I mean, people are dying every 19 minutes.
The FDA said that those aren't good.
Right?
There's 27,000
There's not people making $1 million.
FDA-approved drugs. 27,000.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And so
FDA doesn't need to touch cannabis.
No, it does not.
I mean, look at any other. Look at Israel. You know, look at Egypt or whatever. I think it's Israel.
Israel.
Yeah. I mean, look, why can't we get? No, it's not. It's not in America. It's not an American study. I mean, it's so hard.
Well, and how dare anyone judge these parents for making these incredibly challenging medical decisions? Yeah. I can't imagine being faced with the decision to have my child go through chemotherapy.
Right. That's poison.
It's toxins that's intended to kill your cells, and so the fact that the Barnes family decided to, as Heather said, because they owed it to Zakai, and it made a difference. And I just, to me, it's about the relationship that you have with your physician. Yeah. And you and the physician determine what's the best mode of treatment, and the rest of us be damned.
Yeah. It's not my son. I don't have any. I mean, Zakai has a syndrome that is extremely rare. So, you know, was he using other things? Was he using pharmaceuticals?
He was on 17 pharmaceuticals.
So you can't say, oh, he didn't try. other, the conventional method.
That's right.
You can't say that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And parenting is hard enough. I mean, I kind of feel like I say this a lot, that the parenting is hard enough without being faced with these astronomical hurdles to overcome that are around your child's health, and knowing that the decisions that you're making are going to literally determine the rest of their lives, their quality of life, all those kinds of things. And the idea that Heather would get anything but praise for finding out that marijuana can give Zakai back his life. I mean, I think she's a hero. I think these parents are parents of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sanjay Gupta, because of Chaz Moore and because of the Moore family, Sanjay Gupta is a believer now.
Yeah.
He's a believer now, and he knows. I mean, he saw firsthand. Chaz has his life. Chaz is able to function in a way that he never could because of this plant, and I just think it's amazing. And I probably sound very melodramatic, but that's what happens when you're a parent, and the decisions that you make are really fucking important.
Yes, they are.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. runongrass.com.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
Hi, welcome back. I want to apologize for swearing. Not my proud mom moment, but I mean, I guess that's how passionate I get about when people make judgments, or when parents feel like they have to somehow apologize for making decisions on their kids' medical treatment. Again, not up to me to judge. It's you, your family, your doctor. You guys get to make that decision. Mm-hmm. I hope that we come to the place really, really soon where people in Missouri are getting the same choices that we are here in Colorado, where people in Texas are getting the same decisions, getting to make the same decisions that we are here in Colorado. And I mean, we know of people who are moving here to be able to get access to this medicine.
I did.
Safe and legally. That's right.
That's not the only reason, but that was a huge part of it. I needed safe access to this medicine.
Yeah. I mean, I had someone who saw the Katie Couric show and wrote me wanting to know how they could get the topical that I use. Nice. And yeah, it was so fantastic. They don't live in a medical state. Yeah. It stinks. But that's the reality of it. And it's, I mean, for me, that's been revolutionary. I can't even imagine sitting in Heather's chair every day. She must be so thankful that she found medical marijuana, and I as another mom am so thankful that she is talking about her story, and that her son, God, that kid is adorable, and that he's doing great. And we talk to parents all the time, and I think that they're heroes. I think that they're amazing. I was Googling in preparation for the show. I just Googled parents and marijuana, and so much stuff comes up. So much stuff. I mean, from stories of parents using medical marijuana for their kids to most recently the Beverly Hills marijuana moms and Beverly Hills Cannabis Club and those kinds of things. And it's fun to see how mainstream it is. But I want to show real quick, Kris, if you're ready, the 2020 segment that aired a week ago Friday. Must be a week ago Friday. 2020, here we come. Watch the video.
Here are two words you never think should go together: mothers and marijuana. But our next story might have you seeing the combination in a whole new way. A group of put-together women, some who say their lives were falling apart with anxiety until they started lighting up to escape the stress. And their children have said it's made them even better mothers. So start tweeting. You're not going to be on the fence about these soccer moms turned so-called stoner moms. On a recent evening at a home in Beverly Hills, a few moms gathered to enjoy food, friendship, and a few laughs.
I may not know how to cook, but I do garnish incredibly well.
But this was no ordinary potluck party. Before the main course, a special hors d'oeuvre. The hostess busts out a mason jar full of homegrown marijuana, grinds up a big bud, and fires up a state-of-the-art device called a vaporizer, and then passes around the balloon bag full of powerful pot to her dinner guests.
Vaporizer time.
Welcome to the Beverly Hills Cannabis Club.
The sauce has a little bit of cannabis-infused olive oil, which is...
Your hostess, the self-proclaimed Martha Stewart of marijuana, Sherly Shuman.
Cannabis not only made me a better mom, cannabis made me a better human being.
Cannabis made you a better mom?
Absolutely.
So how did this all come to be? Well, flashback 10 years. Cheryl was a married mother of two and a successful optician to the stars. Not exactly a Jeff Spicoli wannabe.
I'm so wasted!
What was your attitude toward pot originally?
I was one of those goody two-shoes girls. I thought they were all losers and stoners.
But when her marriage fell apart, she says her entire life slipped out of focus.
I was just completely disabled by a crippling depression, a crippling anxiety disorder.
Cheryl needed an escape. She tried prescription drugs, but popping Prozac to get up and Xanax to come down every day felt more like a prison than a panacea.
I went from being a very active mom to pretty much being bedridden. So one day I was at my therapist's office and I told him, I said, please help me get my life back. And one day he said, lady, it's kind of like, I'm tired of hearing about this. And he said, you need to smoke a joint.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. And I looked at him.
You need to smoke a joint? In utter disbelief, Cheryl says she watched as her own shrink rolled her a joint.
I felt kind of stupid because I was 36 years old and never smoked a joint. So I wasn't even sure how to do it, you know? So I took a hit off of it. And literally for the first time in probably 8-9 months, I was smiling and happy. And I was like, this is really great.
But critics might say, yes, you are high.
I was definitely medicated, but I will tell you that I felt better having 2 puffs of cannabis at that time than I had ever had any kind of results with pharmaceuticals.
Cheryl's daughter, Amy, agrees.
I felt like my mom was checked out on prescription pills. It was like living with a zombie. But when she would smoke, she was smiling. She was connecting with us. It felt like we had our mom back.
So you didn't feel like you had your mom back? An impaired mom, or?
No.
Now, Cheryl has recruited fellow marijuana moms like Simi, Diane, and Catherine to come out of the closet and help her in her cannabis crusade.
This is a lifestyle choice. It's my body, my choice, how I choose to medicate.
But you guys aren't arguing that it's healthy. I mean, it's not good for you. Just
I disagree. If it was discovered today, it would be a superfood.
Before medical marijuana, they say they felt trapped in a fog of stress and anxiety. Simi Dillon says just one joint helped her escape a world of pain and pills. Her husband, a police officer, was stunned, but not for the reason you might think.
He's like, oh my God, my wife is back. I was a completely different human being for 7 years. Looking back now, I should not have been driving, should not have been caring for my child. Now, I'm completely connected to him.
Weed-smoking women have come a long way, baby, from the reefer madness to dope-dealing housewives. Now, medical marijuana is legal in 18 states, but parenting in pot? That's still taboo.
So what would all of you say to people who think out there, you've got to be kidding me? I mean, you know, these ladies are...
I'm going to tell it from the point of view of my 10-year-old child.
So I'm going to medicate.
When I'm in pain, I'm in bed for days. I don't talk. I'm miserable. My son will come up to me and say, Mom, it's time to medicate. Go get some cannabis. Come back to us. That's what I tell you. If your 10-year-old child is okay with it, I think adults should be okay with it.
But do the kids see them as role models? Well, Diane has 2 boys, 20 and 22. One started using before she did. The other steers clear, but understands why she uses pot. Amy, 32, who has watched her mother medicate for the last decade, just started hitting the vaporizer 3 weeks ago.
But you've heard the arguments, which is that marijuana is the gateway drug.
Yes, I've heard that it's a gateway drug, but I define it as my exit drug. Because compared to what I was doing before, wow, I'm a lot less stoned now.
You know, I have to admit, I was a skeptic too. You know, I would have been one of those moms watching this right now and said, that woman's out of her mind. It's up to the person to be a responsible parent.
Being responsible also means being healthy, and many of these moms choose to grow their own marijuana. This is Cheryl at her pot farm, where she harvests her THC with TLC, right next to the tomatoes and the zucchini. You'll notice these moms use the phrase medicate, not get stoned. They claim they don't get so baked that they can't care for their children, drive safely, work a demanding job, or function during, say, a network news interview.
Have any of you guys done any pot today?
Right before I sat down.
Coming over here, I was really tense, really nervous. And so literally just one inhale.
Just one inhale?
Just one inhale. That was
Absolutely. But I mean, as soon as she medicates, instant results. Calm, cool, collected, smiling.
We did witness a small case of the giggles later that evening at Cheryl's home. At that potluck party, where Chef David Chanel's prepared a gourmet meal with the help of that special ingredient. But if this party were a bake sale, Cheryl would be in big trouble. Marijuana is still an illegal narcotic in the eyes of the federal government.
Are you ever afraid, given the fact that you grow it, and it's legal in California but illegal federally?
Every single time I do an interview, I get nervous because I wonder, is this going to be the day that the federal government is going to make an example out of me and throw me in jail? It's scary.
Super scary when she considers recent headlines.
Prosecutors say this mother of 3 is no different than a Colombian drug lord.
What do you hope to change about the way America looks at this plant?
I remember thinking, you know, why are you going to go on national television and let everyone know that you smoke pot? And then it's like, you know what? It's because it's the right thing to do. I want to be able to do something that, you know, makes a difference in people's lives.
So, is it outrageous or their own business? We want to know what you think, so let us hear your thoughts on Twitter using the hashtag ABC2020. We'll be right back.
That state of the art.
The vaporizer, the state of the art thing, right? Because it's the right thing to do. I mean, that's why iCannabis Radio exists, because it's the right thing to do. And you know, I appreciate so much all these moms talking about the fact that they're better moms. I mean, you know, when I was growing up, moms taking tranquilizers was the thing, and what does a tranquilizer do? It knocks you out, and you cannot be a present parent. You can't parent for your kid. It's just, I mean, the logic. It's just so easy. It's just so easy to make the argument that if you feel good, you're a better parent. If you feel bad, you can't parent very well. And if this makes you feel better and you're being a responsible parent, then you should do it. And so tonight I applaud you, parents. Thank you be open, be honest with your kids, be honest with your neighbors. Speak up. Let your actions be what people look at. Speak of your experiences with cannabis honestly, because we need to show that there are far more responsible cannabis users than not, and we're going to debunk any stereotype that could possibly be left. We are so close.
Oh, I love the opposition because I mean, what can you? They don't have anything to say that I couldn't debunk. I mean, on the spot. Like, oh, in the '60s, marijuana was Lester Grinspoon wrote a book on marijuana reconsidered. I mean, that's a publication about the reconsideration of marijuana.
Right,
in
a
the 60s.
PhD Harvard professor. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you just can't argue with someone that knows the truth.
That's right.
It's hard to.
That's right. That's it for tonight. We have a big week, of course, on Cannabis Radio. Tomorrow night is, of course, Sexpot Radio from 6 to 8. Thursday, The Hemp Connoisseur from 4 to 5. Next Monday, In the Lab with Jennifer from 3 to 4. And I'll be back at 7. And, of course, Monday through Friday, every single day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Every single day. Except for Saturday and Sunday. Monday through Friday, John Doe Radio, right here, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm Georgia. I appreciate you guys so much thank you for being here, and I will talk to you next week. Good night.